Hello explorers, thanks for joining us again and welcome back to our channel. If you are joining for the first time, I appreciate your time. In this episode, I want to dive into the reason why the former finance minister of the country of Greece gave a damning verdict with regards to the relationship between the United States of America and the country of South Africa. He explored a variety of issues on a wide-ranging interview, touching sensitive topic that to an extent will wake you up. According to the former finance minister, Europe to an extent had failed to stand up strong regards to the United States of America and to live up to its own beliefs in a number of areas. According to the former finance minister of Greece, he went ahead to explain why South Africa must stand its ground regards to the United States of America, that these are critical times. He went ahead and said that history will remember South Africa in a number of areas, why South Africa at this particular time stood up to regards to the global issues and why major other powers around the world were sitting and watching. He went ahead to talk about a number of very important strategic perspectives on why Africa to an extent should pay attention on global events and that South Africa is taking the lead to an extent. Despite the challenges and imposition and threats coming from the United States, from tariffs and a number of other very important areas, he went ahead to push the United States on a number of topics, questioning why the United States to an extent should single South Africa at the moment. Africa is experiencing a challenging moment in its history, and the continent of Africa has woken up and is asking questions that does not sit well with regards to its strategic partners from around the world. Let's listen to what he has to say, and we will dive into more specifics with regards to this episode.
Now, former Greek Finance Minister Yanis Varoufakis says South Africa must not go to the US with the begging attitude, but rather engage in an honest bilateral engagement as US President Donald Trump shuns weak leadership. Varoufakis has called on the international community to support South Africa as the country is experiencing pressure with the cases it lodged against Israel at the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court. In an exclusive interview with the international news editor Sophie Mugwena, Varoufakis says the world must rally behind South Africa.
In this very historical moment, our generation across the world is stigmatized by the shenanigans of an apartheid state, the only apartheid state left in the world after your brave people overthrew your apartheid, which is perpetrating, the Israeli apartheid state, a genocide. And that stigmatizes all of us. We will all have to answer to future generations. And in this moment, at this very historical juncture, it was the South African government and its team of exquisite lawyers in The Hague at the International Criminal Court who have done the whole of humanity a great favor by prosecuting this particular genocide in an exemplary manner, in a manner which I think that only South Africa could pull off. Because let's face it, those lawyers in The Hague that come from South Africa have been trained by people like my good friend, the late George Bezos, Nelson Mandela's lawyer. It is this whole history of the anti-apartheid, anti-white supremacist ideology that South Africa has brought to bear in international courts, which are on the verge of losing any authority they have. And South Africa has done a great favor to the international courts, to humanity, by taking this very courageous stance. And in the midst of this, you have President Donald Trump, who is trying to essentially send a message to the rest of the world by punishing South Africa that international law is dead in the water. In this moment, it is essential that all of us who care about international law, who care about equality, who care about all the great successes that we've had as a species over the last 80 years or so, that we stand by South Africa. If we don't, then we all have to lose.
The former Greek finance minister challenged Europe entirely, looking at European Union and other very important states across the continent of Europe. He went ahead to question where does Europe stand in terms of global issues. He challenged Europe with regards to its position on international matters and why Europe to an extent is following the United States of America behind. That Europe does not have a single position in very important issues that are going on around the world. He questioned Europe's position on the ICC and talking about a number of international and global events that Europe to an extent has not paid attention, and that may affect Europe's geopolitical position and its political capital globally. The strategic engagement that Europe should focus at the moment, that European Union and Europe entirely has failed to live up to its expectation in a number of very important areas. Let's listen to what the former finance minister have to say, and we will look into other very important specifics ahead of this video.
Why are the European countries who often claim that they support international law and they've been there when these institutions were established, whether you talk about the International Court of Justice, the UN, the Security Council, including the International Criminal Court, and both these institutions, the ICJ and the ICC, based in Europe, why are they not supporting South Africa's case?
They are living proof that European powers never truly supported international law in the context of a pan-human, a global perspective. When it suits them, they immediately support the International Criminal Court when, for instance, the International Criminal Court issued a warrant for Vladimir Putin's arrest. The European powers were falling over each other with glee and, enthusiasm to support the ICC. But when it's one of their bastards, excuse the expression, but this is the expression they use themselves. Remember, Franklin Roosevelt once said about the dictator, the brutal dictator of the Dominican Republic, he's a bastard, but he's our bastard. So it's when it's one of their bastards, suddenly the ICC and the ICJ are no longer valid. They can be trashed, they can be neglected. But allow me to say this, and I say this as a European. Europe has a long tradition of genocide. The very ideology of Zionism, remember the slogan on which Zionism was based? A land without a people, Palestine. For a people without a land, the Zionists who wanted to move there and take it over. Well, that was initially concocted by European powers like the British Empire, like Germany, like France, when they moved to Africa. They came to South Africa, the British and the Boers, and they declared this to be terra nullius. They looked at your people and decided that they're not people. So it was a land without a people for them. So there's a long tradition of practicing genocide by European powers. We had hoped that after the Holocaust, after the extermination of so many Jews by the German Nazi regime, that humanity had turned the page and that we had signed into law the United Nations Charter, the Bill of Rights, the Geneva Convention, the Charter upon which and the statutes upon which the International Criminal Court was constituted. But now, and thank you for giving the opportunity with your question to make this point, Europe has proven, at least our regimes in Europe have proven, that we didn't really mean it, that we have really not disowned our genocidal past, that if a genocide suits them, they will turn a blind eye to the international law which they helped institute. And it is remarkable, is it not, that it is a country of the global south, South Africa, that is standing up for the very principles that supposedly Europeans cared for.
According to the former finance minister, he lambasted the United States in a number of very important areas, questioning the current laws and positions in terms of the United States in relation to the country of South Africa. Why South Africa should be singled out in regards to the relationship. He went ahead to look at the current United States of America's President Donald Trump's position in regards to the country of South Africa. Why the United States of America to an extent should focus on its own internal issues instead of sending mixed signals in regards to other punishment in terms of global threats that according to trade and tariffs that are coming at the moment. That South Africa does not deserve this particular singling out in terms of its strategic engagement with the United States of America. He went ahead to say that South Africa must stand its grounds no matter what is going to happen in regards to this particular relationship. Let's listen to what he has to say as we close this episode.
Clearly, South Africa is paying the price. When you look at President Trump's posture, much as there are issues that he has pointed out too in terms of this hostile posture against South Africa and its foreign policy, the issue of Middle East is also a factor. Why would President Trump take this position?
President Trump, along with some of the oligarchs who are fully in support of him, think of the gentlemen that are surrounding him: Peter Thiel of Palantir, Elon Musk of Tesla and SpaceX. Very interesting figures. Also from the point of view of South Africa and Namibia, because they cut their political teeth as part of the apartheid regime. It is very clear that Donald Trump hankers after the notion of apartheid. He supports fully Israel because it is an apartheid state. These men will stop at nothing to reinstate the ideology, the spirit of apartheid. And yes, South Africa is paying a price. But South Africans know how to pay the right price. I mean, Nelson Mandela paid a magnificently large price, personally, by losing his freedom. And that is why I'm saying that from the perspective of the Greeks, of the Europeans, of people outside South Africa, we have a duty to support you, your country, during this good fight, which comes at a price, but it comes also with a magnificent reward, and it is the gratitude of the people around the world.
The former finance minister of Greece was very clear with regards to his position on South Africa. He went ahead to encourage the government of South Africa and the people of South Africa that these are moments that will go down in history. According to him, the African continent should pay attention on critical issues that are happening around the world. That these are moments where the world will remember that South Africa stood up to major powers like the United States of America. That to an extent, that the country of South Africa is a vital player in the global community, and question why South Africa should kneel and bow to the United States of America in a number of areas. According to the finance minister, he said that this country of South Africa should not beg the United States of America in a number of very important strategic issues that are relevant in terms of its own survival at this time. Why the continent of Africa at this moment will go down in history, especially the country of South Africa, for standing up to the United States of America on specific issues ranging from the war in Gaza and Israel, considering what's happening in Ukraine, and the very unpopular position, according to the United States, that South Africa has taken. Let's listen to what he has to say, and we will close this episode.
And finally, what must South Africa do, particularly at this moment where the country is under pressure from the Trump's administration?
Well, two things. Firstly, it is a great opportunity, is it not, for South Africa to become more self-sufficient. South Africa has many unused resources. There are better ways to organize your own political economy in order to become more self-sufficient, to create better facilities for producing the pharmaceuticals that you're importing from the United States. It is a crisis, but it's also an opportunity to become more efficient and more self-sufficient. Secondly, men like Donald Trump do not appreciate yes men. So it is crucial that your government does not make the mistake of go begging to the White House, of turning the other cheek to Donald Trump. He doesn't appreciate weaklings. You have to show strength. You must be moderate, but at the same time, not beg for his forgiveness, as some other leaders around the world have done, to their great detriment. And in the end, Donald Trump looks after the bottom line of the businesses that do business with South Africa. And to the extent that there are American businesses that make a profit out of South Africa as part of a mutually advantageous trade arrangement with South African companies and the South African state, they will continue to do this. So, stiff upper lip, more self-sufficiency, use this crisis as an opportunity to improve your political economy, and remain unbowed.
Let me know in the comment section what you think in regards to the position taken by the former finance minister of the country of Greece. Why do you think that the country of South Africa should still firm in regards to its position, considering the challenges that the continent of Africa is experiencing at this time, considering the Sahel and a whole lot of other countries around the world, that at this moment, the continent of Africa, especially the country of South Africa, will be remembered as one of those countries that stood up to the major superpowers around the world and tell them where they went wrong at this particular time in the continent of Africa's history. I will be looking forward to meeting you soon in our next episode. Smash the like button and share the video with your different network as we look forward to meeting you soon again. Have a good day. Bye-bye.